Hello and welcome to another meeting of the Geek Cabal Whisperings. This is unlucky episode number 13.
Well, let's hope it's lucky episode 13.
I forgot to look at today's date is the 3rd of November, 2023. And if you haven't noticed, well, by the way, I'm Jim. And today we're actually joined by
Chad.
And I'm Bob.
So you are looking at us instead of listening to us. We've got 3 people here today.
Yep.
Chad, one of the founding members.
Been out for a little bit.
Yeah, so I guess as far as channel news goes, Chad's still here.
I am still alive, people.
Yes, and Brad is as well. We are hopefully before the end of tonight going to iron out the last little technical problem before we get him in on distance. And comes down to it, Chad can also chime in on distance whenever you can't make it here physically.
Yep.
So there's that in channel news.
Yeah, but now I'm an even shorter drive away.
Well, that's true.
Yep.
All right. So the only other so lately we have posted the final videos in the Halloween franchise retrospective. So those are all up. I do want to do one final wrap up video because I keep making the same mistake in all these and thinking that I have everything up here and realize as we're doing them, I start watching the movies and I'm like, oh man, I should have mentioned this for the first movie. Oh, I should have mentioned this for the other movie. Now in this case, there's several of those movies that did not happen. I really actually do have it all up here, but there's some minor little things I want to go over. It'll be a short video. It'll be a wrap up probably sometime next week.
Yeah.
So did the same thing with the Star Trek movies. Had 4 of them all up here. Not 1 and 5 though. Last time I saw 5 before that was when it was in theaters. So look for that.
The Romero Zombies.
We did the Romero zombie thing, and I do also want to do a follow up to that because as I was editing it, I realized we never actually talked about the plots to the 6 movies. We just kind of rolled with assuming that everyone knew what they were, so we should probably actually do that.
Well, and if we do that, we could do that as a retrospective too.
Possibly, because I think I actually want to, after explaining the plots, actually want to lay out, really lay out how I'd go about an actual plan as far as we're doing that.
Or we save it for Halloween next year.
We could, but I'll totally forget by then.
Well, but the thing is that we need to have episodes, episodic.
Don't worry. We for Halloween next year, we could always do Hellraiser or Friday the 13th. There's
Wishmaster.
Friday the 13th.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, there's other horror series. Don't worry. Also, by then, the movie Thanksgiving will have come out. So, here's hoping on that one. But anyway.
Yeah, so the other one is just recorded episode 8 of Unboxing Old Stuff. So that one will be hopefully in editing at some point in the next week.
That will probably come out, for those of you watching this, the day this comes out, which will probably be Monday the 6th. Jim's video he's talking about will come out probably after that. Because our watching seems to drop off on the weekends, so I don't want to put the new videos on the weekend unless there's a specific reason to. So it's mainly going to be podcast clips. Speaking of which, we're going to probably actually rebrand or just plain brand those because those of you who are listening to this know that we call this Cabal Whisperings, which I don't think we ever actually explained how we derived that name, but essentially, Cabal is a secretive group. If you want to say something without everyone hearing it, you whisper. Secretive Whisperings, Cabal Whisperings. Only we actually do want people to hear this, so it's kind of counterproductive, I guess.
Well, they're part of the Cabal, though.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, all of you 299 people so far, hopefully 300 soon, are part of the Cabal. So
yeah.
Thanks for joining.
Cabalites, Cabalers, as Brad likes to refer to everyone.
Hey, I like Cabalers.
Yeah. But anyway, so we're going to actually... So I think we have a title for what we're going to call the clips, so they're not just podcast clips. I'm leaning towards Echoes of a Whisper because it's just a part of it, like an after image kind of thing, because it's only part of the whole. So, that's 3 layers deep in the meta explanation, but it's the kind of name that'll stick with you, hopefully.
Yeah, we want to have something. We don't want to just be called the clips or the podcast.
Yeah, because right now I'm just calling them podcast clips. Like the thumbnail's probably still going to say that, so people know what the hell it is. but the actual title we're going to change to actually kind of brand it with everything else. Because, it's all about that branding.
So, are you going to retroactively rename all the others?
No. Probably not.
No, I just put it in a playlist called that.
Yeah, I'll just change the name of the playlist, and then all future ones, the title that I put for on YouTube will be that. So, yeah, that's the big change there, and we're gonna restructure kind of how we do some things with those. But hopefully, you folks will notice that when you listen to them or watch them or whatever. I don't know, Jim. What did we do? What else did we do lately?
A lot of nothing.
Well, we did the Lego thing, but I think we had already talked about that in the last one. The blind box build.
Yes. Yeah, the thing we still have to find time for is the second part of the Lego discussion.
Yes, which depending on how long this takes, that might be right for this.
Yep. We have to see.
I think that's probably it on channel news. Jim, is there anything coming up that you're thinking about wanting to do?
No, I mean I got to come up with a 9th unboxing so that I can come up with that legendary 10th unboxing.
Well, I can unbox something if you want to. If you wanted to do, if you want a not you unboxing old stuff to count as the 9th one for the channel.
Well,
I was going to bring it over tonight, but I wasn't sure we were going to have time.
Yeah.
So it's circa like 2007, 2008. So 15 years old.
Yeah, speaking
That's
of
not that retro.
I didn't say it's retro. I said it's old.
And technically, that would be considered retro at this point.
Yeah, probably.
It's hard to imagine,
but most importantly, there's a story to it.
You realize that 360 is now classifies under retro.
Yeah. I did not know that.
Chad, here's a bit of information since you don't watch the videos, apparently. Do you know how many Wii U's Nintendo sold last year?
How many?
Take a guess.
1,000.
Knock off the 3 zeros and you're right.
One.
They
sold one.
Which I don't understand. The Wii is a fine system. I mean, the Switch is probably a better system, no doubt. But, I don't have a problem with the Wii. I've got one. I'm probably going to buy a Switch soon now that it's on the way out. But, because I want to play Super Mario Wonder. It's pretty awesome. So, yeah, that's probably it for the channel news. And like I said, we are hopefully going to be overcoming the last little technical hurdle to actually getting people at distance being able to be on the channel. We're primarily doing that so Brad and Chad can get in here without having to drive here, because I just live right across town from Jim, but everyone else lives elsewhere.
I live 2 towns over.
Yeah, but that will also enable us to have other people on here if we truly wanted to, like say our fan from Boston.
Yep.
Wait, we have a fan from Boston?
Yes.
You didn't get to meet him at Gen Con? Oh no, you didn't.
No,
that's right.
No, remember?
Yeah.
Family emergency. Had to go back home.
Right, I thought we met him on the first day, but it's the second day. Yeah. Yeah, so yes, we have a fan from Boston.
Wait, is he the one we talked into going to Gen Con, period?
Well, we didn't talk him into it. Our videos told him it was awesome. He believed us, and it paid off. He said it was awesome. He's definitely coming back from what he told me, so. I'm pretty sure he said that. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I'm pretty sure he said that.
We have become influencers.
Yeah, I know. Now, the next step is the T-shirts and some other things I'm going to run by you once we're done with this, hopefully. Okay, so on to our topics at hand. Movies. So I made a whole bunch of notes this week. We're probably going to skip some because it's going to make this a 3-hour episode if we did. There's a bunch of action movie stuff in here I do want to talk about, so I'll probably say that for next episode. One little interesting tidbit. The upcoming Ghostbusters movie, because they are making another one after Afterlife. If it does like $50 million at the box office, the franchise will become a $1 billion franchise.
As it should.
So,
which unfortunately, I believe it also includes the 2016.
It does include the 2016 one, but still, that is part of the franchise. Even though even the franchise ignores it, they released a set of all the movies, like 1, 2, and Afterlife, and it didn't have the 2016 one in it.
That's great.
Hey, if we can,
that's real great.
If we can consider that there's ghosts flying around like that, I can consider it's a multiverse of.
Yeah. I still haven't watched it. I still think the single biggest mistake that movie made. It could have worked, even on the premise they had, if it just would have been the third movie in the franchise. Tied into the others. Don't become the prototype for Hollywood learning how to shit on their fan base, and it would have succeeded.
Well, I think that, and I think the special effects, they went with like Scooby-Doo
special
effects versus. I mean, it's it's unfortunate when the
When
original
the other two like established an aesthetic that looks good.
it looks
now,
even better, even better.
And
than,
like Afterlife, for the most part, followed that.
yes,
But the other one, yeah, like you said, looked a little cartoonish. So, but anyway, I'm going to watch that at some point. We're going to talk about it on here. Not today, though.
I'll need to watch it as well then.
All right.
And Afterlife.
So, on to Disney and their continuing woes. Primarily the MCU this time. This is going to be a big segment because there's a lot of stupid shit. I think Disney, to explain this, is essentially living through Iron Man 2. They're Tony Stark. They did something in the past that is now killing them. They have an enemy who sees how to build what they had and is now using it against them in the form of the other Snow White movie that's coming out. You've got that. You've got the fact that in Iron Man 2, part of Vanko's plan was just to prove that God could be wounded and therefore killed to bring out all the other predators, and that is definitely what has happened. Disney has been wounded. Everyone sees this. They're all coming for them now. You've got South Park with the Panderverse episode, which is absolutely hilarious, by the way. You should all watch it. I'm going to throw a little note out on that, though. There's an important lesson buried in that, aside from all the anti-Disney parts. There's a part where it's revealed that Cartman is entirely behind, the hate campaign towards Kathleen Kennedy in their universe, which is why Kathleen Kennedy began doing the things she was doing. So what they're trying to say is, because South Park doesn't pick a side here. Yes, there in fact are toxic fans who take things way too far. They should also be called out. Although Disney's far more in the wrong here, but there are toxic fans that we should probably all just avoid. Okay? And it's kind of like the drinker said whenever he was explaining all this. There's a difference between pandering and all the what they cloak as progressivism and just legitimate representation. There are differences between those two. And calling everything that has a woman in the lead woke, and calling everything that has a person of color in the lead woke, that's just stupid. There are some things that just have that. Are these people going to sit there and say Blade's woke because Blade's a black man in the lead role?
Well, and the one thing that it gets me every time is that people are like, "Oh, Black Panther, the first black superhero," and I'm like,
well, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, there's stupid people on all sides of this.
Mm-hmm.
The people that think history started yesterday are the dumbest people on earth. But no, to your point, clearly they forgot Meteor Man.
Well, they forgot
and Steel.
Steel.
I wish I could, but
Sure.
I mean,
I guess technically Blank Man.
Though I do wish that I would have a supercomputer just fall off the back of a truck in front of my house.
Yeah. So, you've got that. But by and large, that was targeted at Disney, full on. I think it let Kathleen Kennedy a little bit off the hook that it shouldn't have, because these decisions are all very clearly hers by the way she presents them. But like I said in one of the other videos, I mean, somehow that same company has also given us the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, which were good, Rogue One, which was good, Solo, which was at least watchable.
Mm-hmm.
They've given us good stuff, but then there's just the sludge that sucks.
Well,
and we know it sucks because they're trying to push a message instead of trying to make a fucking actively entertaining show.
I'm still trying to figure out the fact that they went back and they started reshooting the Snow White stuff to actually have little people in it, but then
replaced them with CGI.
Yes.
Yeah. It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back with these people.
It
seriously, that's what they did.
Kathleen Kennedy released a statement responding to the South Park episode. Now, she's too cowardly to actually call them out directly, but it's very clear who she's talking about. And basically it says, we're not going to let some people who don't respect other people's work in Hollywood and a handful of loud fans derail us from our plans.
Plans what? To destroy Disney?
I guess, because then she goes on to talk about the masses that enjoy their stuff, and I'm like, who the fuck are you talking about? No one's enjoying it.
No, what people enjoy of Disney is when Disney had their animation heyday. Oh, speaking of which, I can at least comment that I have seen the live-action Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah?
I have. I have.
I have
And
not.
honestly,
Any thoughts on it?
I don't think it was. I don't think it was bad. I don't think it was. I think it was okay, but I think the problem that people had with it was obviously that they took a character that they grew up with and changed it radically because all of the uh, oh the Poseidon, right, or is it no Triton in that one. All of Triton's children were all like obviously of different races of some sort, which means that they all would have had to have different moms at that point, which I think makes sense because they kind of like played it off as like the seven seas, the seven mothers, and I guess
which one's Ariel for again?
I don't remember.
Is it like the Baltics?
Maybe, but just on its own, whatever. I mean, they changed up the way some of the songs sound. They actually gave Prince Eric his own version, his own song to sing, which I thought was okay, But one of the things
I've had to listen to Poor Unfortunate Souls on the radio at work from, I'm assuming, Melissa McCarthy. She played Ursula.
Yes. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
I'm not impressed.
The songs were not, I don't think, as good, but I mean, I give them credit that they at least redid them and kind of had, I mean, to be honest, it wasn't a terrible movie. Like there was nothing wrong with it. Now, the one thing that I wasn't really, I don't know why they went that route, but Prince Eric is adopted, and his adoptive mother is black. So,
all right.
I don't know how that plays into any of it, but I think in the original, I don't think his parents were, none of them were seen at all. So, and they play a big role in the whole thing. So,
yeah.
And no, there wasn't a preacher with a, with an obvious.
Look it up, folks.
The only thing I can say about the live action Little Mermaid, I haven't seen it. I paid for 3 tickets and I got my money's worth. I paid for my girlfriend and her 2 girls to go see it. Hey. So them being happy, I'm happy.
Yeah, like I said, overall there was nothing wrong with. I think it was just them changing up the.
Well, I was gonna say we've or at least I have, and I think we've agreed on this before, that the biggest problem for most of these isn't the end product. It's these people going on Twitter and talking about it to make people hate it.
Yeah.
They think that they're building an audience, and it's like, no, sorry, Twitter Tumblerinas aren't going to help you at all here. Like,
well, and we had that day of like when we went to go. Well, when we saw trailers and stuff, it wasn't. Oh, here is it may say like here's Bruce Willis in the latest action thriller. Blah 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 blah. It wouldn't go. We didn't have all this stuff that's like, oh, look who they're, this is who they're hiring for this role. They're more concerned about the people they're putting in the roles versus the actual role itself.
Right.
Because, you can have, for example, Hayden Christensen, I think he's a decent actor. I think he has the chops to do it, but I think when you put poor writing in front of him, you get some of the whiny Anakin moments that...
the prequels, that comes down to George's writing and directing.
And somebody should have been like, hey, George, that's not how people fall in love.
Well, yeah, that's...
I just murdered an entire family of Tusken Raiders. You want to go and make out back here, Padme?
Jim, it takes all kinds, man. But, to your point, like, that is writing and directing. And like what you said, in the original trilogy, Lucas only directed the first one, and he had people who could tell him no. And tell him, like, hey, this is a bad idea. Like, Harrison Ford, for instance, would tell him a lot of times, apparently on set, like, George, this might sound decent in a book, but human beings don't speak this way. And that's why Han talks like a normal guy.
Well, heck, even Mark Hamill's had a couple times where he's like, George, nobody speaks this way.
Yeah.
Which don't get me wrong.
Like with the prequels, like, there was no one there for that.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's fine to have that stuff written out, but then somebody has to come in and kind of go, no. We need someone that's like a dialogue expert come in and then...
Yeah.
Because
otherwise, you wind up with Romeo and Juliet 1990s edition, which is fantastic because of that.
Well, what is this?
Takes place in the modern day. Still uses Shakespearean English dialogue.
Yes, and when they talk about drawing their swords, that's the name of their guns.
Yeah.
Draw your swords, and they would pull out their.
Yeah, I'll maybe like pause for a second and zoom in so you can see they had the word sword stamped down the side of it. Yeah.
Yes, and
All right, I'm going to need to find this and watch it.
yeah,
it's really spectacular. I have it on my Vudu account.
Seen somebody go, "Did you just bite your thumb at me?" No, but I did bite my thumb.
Yeah, it's pretty ludicrous.
So what else do we
It's
got?
DiCaprio as Romeo and Claire Danes as Juliet.
I have one actor with which I can find it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to remember the lady.
Yeah. Who plays Tybalt? It's who played Luigi.
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. Yeah, glad you knew which Luigi I was talking about.
Well, I haven't seen the live or the new one yet.
Okay, well, I watched it over the weekend. Okay, so that's just like the beginning of Disney's problems. Apparently, there was this pretty damning article in Variety that's talked about. Apparently, the Blade movie is just a total shit show right now.
Yeah, where Blade is like not even the main tier person in the movie.
Fourth star in a movie called Blade is the guy named Blade, with 3 women as the first, second, and third. One of whom is supposed to be his daughter, who's a character they just created in the comics. And it meant to be like a passing of the torch. And it's like, well, the guy's got to have the goddamn torch in the first place. Like, what is this? And something else about that really got me thinking too. Are we actually sure we want a Disney Blade movie? Because there's no way in hell it's going to be as violent as the Wesley Snipes.
I don't know. Did you see the trailer for Echo?
No.
It has Wilson Fisk beating a man to death in the alleyway with bloodied fist.
Well, it's better than a car door, I suppose. Although he decapitated that guy with the car door.
As he should.
Yeah.
So I was, hell, I should have asked you about that because, yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'll have to watch it.
Oh, yes, it is.
Because I've heard that's a total shit show, too.
Though, I would say the trailer looked decent.
Hell.
Well,
how many times in our 40-plus years of existence has a trailer fooled us, Jim?
The sad part, though, is that the star of the trailer is Wilson Fisk.
Well, yeah, that's what we said. That's what I said. Is all the massive reshoots, and they had to put a whole bunch of him and Daredevil and someone else into it.
What they should have done is just called it Wilson Fisk.
Yeah.
Or Fisk.
I'll watch that movie.
I mean, and they could still had her. Well, hell, the way that Disney does things, they should have called it Fisk and still had her Echo be the main star.
Yeah.
Now, calling it Kingpin would have been a good idea, too.
Yeah, so, like, the Blade movie has gone through, I think it's 5 rewrites, 2 directors, and they were, like, weeks away from starting production. They stopped.
We'll have to see. We have audio loss because my cat just went by and not hit the cable. We still have the microphone on, but
yeah, just have to hope for the best here.
So
they've stopped production, and they've cut the budget. The budget's down to like $80 million, which is where it should be for a backstreet vampire movie. Because where are the big effects? It's action set pieces and vampires.
I'm gonna see what the
turning to dust.
Could be.
Or, getting into sunlight and then bursting into flame.
Yeah.
That can be expensive.
So, they have that big problem. The Marvels is going to bomb spectacularly.
I believe it.
Original Blade budget was $45 million.
Yeah. That was in what, 98?
I didn't look at that.
Somewhere in there. So anyway, the Marvels is going to bomb. Like every indicator says it's going to be very bad at the box office for the Marvels. It sounds like Brie Larson wants to bail on the MCU.
Yeah, not you.
And apparently now they're kicking around the idea of trying to bring back Captain America and Iron Man. Like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans.
Did they realize that's where the money's going to be?
Well, the thing is I don't think that Falcon couldn't be Captain America and make a decent movie out of it if they wrote it right.
They could. Well, especially if it's him and Winter Soldier. Because they've definitely got a kind of a love-hate buddy comedy thing going on there that works. And I think they could continue that.
I'm just fine with Falcon becoming Cap.
Yeah. But this is tied into the other problem, which I realize now I should have said first, is the Kang problem. In that they don't know what to do. and they're fucked. Like there is no good way out of this for them because even though we're all not lawyers here, and I'm not following the case at all, Jonathan Majors is being prosecuted for spousal abuse, not spousal abuse, beating up a woman, and there have been other people come forward about this. So I'm not in any way judging that. He's presumed innocent until found guilty and all that. But Disney has to contend with the fact that this trial is going to be going on, and they've got to make a decision. So their essential few decisions are recast him, which then they run into other problems.
Who do they use?
Well, who do they use? Do they stick with the fact that they already race swapped the character? Because if they make it a white character now, forget it. Like, Twitter will literally catch on fire at that point.
It's X now.
I don't care. It's Twitter.
You still do tweets.
I think I even heard Elon Musk call it the Twitter building when he was talking to Joe Rogan the other day. So, which was a weird interview because he kept talking about sending stuff to Earth like he's already on Mars already or something. It was bizarre.
Well, he probably already is.
He's probably on the moon.
He could be. That's where I would go. So you have this problem, and so if you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you recast him, do you just charge full speed ahead and hope that he's found innocent, or do you just not use Kang? In which case you've got to rewrite a bunch of crap, which you can't do yet because the Writers Guild is still like in solidarity with the Actors Guild. So it's just this perfect storm of things are going to just totally cripple them. And they don't know what to do.
There's also, they just spent a bunch of money setting up Kang.
Yeah, and they've already set up, like, Loki season 1 and 2 has all been about setting up Kang, and Ant-Man set up Kang. But on the flip side, they've also made it very obvious that, like, Ant-Man can defeat Kang. That means he's not a threat. No offense to Ant-Man or his fans.
Well, but
like, if a single one of the Avengers can beat you, the team is going to whoop your ass.
Well, how are you a threat to the whole team?
I was going to say, Kane does not have the ability that Thanos has, and that is that Ant-Man can't go up Thanos' butt and expand. He can go up Kane's though.
Yes, something to consider, I suppose.
Speaking of, one of our topics coming up later with where we're talking about Kyle Hall. That was one of the things he brought up is that the strength of his colon would be.
Anyway. Yeah, so they've got this problem, which means that Avengers 5 and 6 might just be totally screwed, which is why they're looking into trying to bring the other people back. Because they're like, we just might have to torpedo these plans and just come up with some of their bullshit, and we're going to need the star power to pull this off. But the potential problem is, you're going to have to spend a shitload of money to get Robert Downey Jr. back. And you're going to be spending it on a movie that might not succeed. Because all the others have been kind of circling the drain here. Like, you're taking one hell of a gamble there.
I want to make a suggestion. They bring Chris Evans back, but not as Captain America. Bring him back as the Human Torch.
Yeah. That would be good.
Just go that route.
What?
So essentially, things are not looking good for the MCU. Like, apparently the She-Hulk episodes cost $25 million a piece to make, which meant that the series She-Hulk had a bigger budget than the first Avengers movie. I want you to just ponder that for a moment.
I mean, don't get me. They could say it was the special effects for the She-Hulk, but that's still ridiculous.
Yeah.
By any stretch of the means, and the show was just.
The show was only okay at its peak.
Yeah, I mean, I think the concept of it was kind of okay, but She-Hulk's one of those ones that's like I wouldn't mind seeing just like these offshoots. It's just like a superhero or someone that has a superhero identity who's kind of like doing their day-to-day stuff and just like making like a Seinfeld show, but with superheroes. There's no point to it. It's just it doesn't progress any story. It's just whatever.
You mean it's like the Avengers going to actually get shawarma?
Well, they did.
Yeah. Now I will say there's one complaint I've heard about the Marvels that I don't give credence to. That's the people complaining, oh, you have to see this, and you have to see this, and you have to see this to make it work. You had to see 19 movies for Endgame to make sense. Like, one movie and 2 shows because we're only talking Captain Marvel, uh, WandaVision, and Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
That's not a lot. Maybe Secret Invasion. Don't know. We'll know when we see the movie. We'll know when we see the rumored post-credit scenes, what other things you'll have to have seen. You know anything about that? Hope you watch the Fox X-Men movies, is what I'm hearing.
X-Men 3?
Yes, actually.
Out of all of them, they...
Kelsey Grammer as Beast is the rumor on the street. Apparently Monica Rambeau is somehow going to wind up in the X-Men universe.
He is great as an older Beast.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult does great as a younger Beast.
Yeah. And that's supposed to be setting up something in Deadpool 3, supposedly. Now that's the rumor on the street. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the movie had like massive reshoots, and like we were talking about with like the stupid effects budgets. That's why. That's why these movies are ballooning in expense. Is because they have to go in and redo the special effects when they redo the shooting, and it's because no one's got their hand on the tiller, like to make sure the ship's going straight.
Well, I mean that's specifically why they use so much green screen now, because like there's this classic or this viral image out there of Nick Fury sitting in a chair with a gun, and when they take out all the special effects, the gun's fake, the background's fake. Yeah. The only thing that's real is him in the chair.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so they can plaster whatever they need to, and if they need to change the scene.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
I mean, you realize in Endgame, the suits that they're wearing to go into the microverse or whatever the hell it's called, the quantum realm.
Yeah.
Were all CG. Like they had their regular outfits on before then. And they didn't know what they were going to have the final outfit be, and then they're completely CG. Because heaven forbid that they had their normal costumes on when they're going through the quantum realm, but I guess you have to have the special suit to do it, which...
Well, I mean, until you watch Ant-Man 3 that's in the quantum realm and people are walking around without their helmets all the goddamn time, and then you're like,
wait,
what's going on here?
Wouldn't the oxygen atoms be the size of...
Oh, Jim, don't even attempt to make that make sense, because none of it will make any sense anymore. Like, just assume that Hank Pym doesn't know what the hell he's talking about as far as shrinking atomic structure.
What it is actually he's just on acid and everything's just a trip.
Quite possibly, including the Bill Murray cameo. He's in it for no good reason at all.
I am really tempted to watch
Bill Murray.
May as well have been. But yeah, it's so stupid. But anyway, so in other words, more shit going wrong for Disney, and a lot of it. So yeah,
that's what it sounds like. So
that's where my Iron Man 2 comparison came in. Like, multiple Vankos are attacking, wounding God, and because like whenever Endgame came out, if you'd have told me that in 4 years, that Disney would be like circling the drain, I would have said you were on some drugs, and I would have been curious where you got them. Like,
I would have laughed and walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so their other desperation play is they're apparently going to have Jimmy Kimmel, renowned late night comedian. That's sarcasm, by the way. I don't think he's funny at all, and he's basically just a crying bitch up on stage. But he's going to apparently be their weapon to attack South Park with.
Oh.
Yeah. Good luck.
As if they're going to care.
Yeah, one, they're not going to care. Two, they're just going to relentlessly mock him now.
And then look at Adam Carolla.
Yes, then look at Adam Carolla. Because the two of them used to have the Man Show together,
And one's still a man.
Yeah. I mean, like, I know it's because he's on ABC and Disney controls ABC. But, like, I would have thrown some money to just, like, hire Jimmy Fallon instead. I don't watch his show, but he's at least funny.
Yeah.
Of course, he probably would have had the self-respect to say, no, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to let you dictate what I'm going to make fun of. But we know Kimmel will do it because, well...
He's a shill.
Yeah. So, yeah. For those of you who think Jimmy Kimmel's funny...
What's wrong with you?
Well, Wow, Jim. I was going to make a conciliatory response.
Humor is subjective.
Like kind of like how beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that. Comedy's subjective. I'm sure there's things I find funny. Hell, I laughed at 2 parts of Final Destination that I'm pretty sure I wasn't supposed to, because I was the only person in the theater laughing. And I got some looks, but because the minor diversion here, real quick. For those of you who've seen Final Destination, beginning of the movie, they all get on the plane. And one of them says, they like looking around, there's I think there's a nun, there's kids and everything. And what he says is it would take a pretty fucked up God to bring down this plane. I thought he said guy. And the next person that gets on the plane is a person who's obviously disabled. And I just lost it. And I look around, I was like, maybe I misheard that. And then I was talking to someone else the next day. Like, yeah, I saw it too. I laughed. Hell, it's not what they said. And the other part is whenever Sean William Scott gets killed with a piece of metal that flies out and lops his head off. One of the 2 of them says, "This isn't the time to lose our heads," or something like that. And I was just like, no, you didn't. And just fucking lost it again.
Well, didn't they say they make the same kind of comment, like, we don't need to lose our heads in the house on Haunted Hill, or the haunt. No, was it the haunting? God, the one with the.
Was Liam Neeson in it or not?
Yes, Liam Neeson.
Then it's The Haunting.
The Haunting. Yes, where the one guy goes in the fireplace, and for some reason there's a swinging pendulum in the fireplace.
Yeah.
We don't need to go lose our heads.
Yeah.
Poorly designed house.
So yeah, I do not think Jimmy Kimmel will be winning that particular exchange.
Nope.
So, and the South Park folks have said there's going to be 2 or 3 more episodes focusing on this. So
the Panderverse continues.
Yes. Now we're going to talk about that when we get to the streaming here, a few things in particular. So anyway, you guys got anything else on movies?
Well, I'm going to say besides watching The Little Mermaid, rewatched the Nightmare Before Christmas. Big question, and this is a very simple topic. Is it a Halloween movie? Or is it a Christmas movie? And I like Bobby's answer. Yes.
Well, I mean, that's my thoughts on it, because I was walking through, I think it's Target the other day, and I was like, Nightmare Before Christmas stuff is just what you should wear between Halloween and New Year, like through all of October, November, and December. Because no one cares about Thanksgiving. You've covered the 2 holidays people actually care about, all in one bit of clothing.
Well, I mean, that's why they tell you on November 1st that it's Mariah Carey finally unfrost, and she's...
Yeah.
How's that going, Bobby?
I don't know. Yeah.
I wonder if the music has started.
It hadn't the other day.
Okay. And that's just...
We apparently have a reprieve. But, no. What did you say today? Was the 3rd?
Yeah. Probably the 4th.
Probably Sunday.
No, because Sunday will be something else entirely.
Speaking of which, I guess there's a lawsuit open against Mariah Carey and the Christmas. Yeah.
Is it because it's unusual, cruel and unusual torture?
I was going to say, did Kris Kringle sue for rights or something? I mean...
Pretty sure cruel and unusual torture's in there somewhere.
But no, Sunday will be the 5th of November. For those of you, if there are any of you who listen to us in England, well, it'll be the 6th before you hear this, but that date is significant to you fine folks.
I only know about it because of one movie.
Yes. Same reason I know about it.
She's being sued that she supposedly for accusations that she stole the song "All I Want for Christmas."
So the person who thinks she stole it, were they in a coma for 20 years or something? Because didn't she come out with that song, I don't know, in the 90s or something?
I don't know, but it's been torturing people ever since. The one thing people were saying is maybe we'll get a reprieve from it finally. Well, speaking of that, just a short, John. I know we have other things to talk about, but
yeah, it's 5th of November. Keep going.
Where I've seen some person comparing 2 songs, where they took a Christmas song, the "Baby It's Cold Outside," and it's been a banned song because they said it sounds like it's
it's because people are fools and don't know what the lyrics actually mean. But keep going.
Yes, and then comparing it to WAP, which stands for Wet A.
I can guess what the A and the P are.
Yes, and that song was #1 song on the charts.
Yeah, Jim, it's a huge double standard. Is it old? Oh, it has to be whatever they're going to throw at it. We have to take the worst interpretation possible.
Well, the funny thing is that there is calls, and I hear it a lot now, that going back to a more traditional family structure like they had in the not so much. I'm saying that to act like you're from the 50s and 60s, but that family structure from the 50s and 60s.
Right. Well, that's okay. Without going into like bizarro political and
Yep.
culture wars crap, there is a thing, the cultural pendulum. It's real. If your parents were, say, ultra conservative, there's a non-zero chance that at least one of the kids they have will be incredibly liberal, rebelling against their parents.
Yep.
Well, the problem then for them is they take it way too far, like their parents did, and then their kid ends up being ultra conservative. Okay, and at the moment, there's a lot of things in pop culture that have a more liberal bent, and so people that are being raised in this are rejecting it because that's what kids do. And well, if you're rejecting that, what are you turning to? You know, you're basically looking at the Amish and being like, I like the cut of your jib. You know,
I like the idea of letting everything else grow in, but shaving my upper lip.
You know,
Yeah,
you talk about the pendulum swinging right now. It feels like it's going in circles.
well, that's
We're swinging over the bar now. We're just
yeah, we're in this weird position where like culturally we're bankrupt. Like I think our culture just stopped in like the year 2000, and we've just been like recycling shit ever since. Like there are people today that were not alive in the 80s that are nostalgic for the 80s because it sounds super awesome, because it was super awesome. It was the greatest decade in human history, but that's not the point.
I only got to experience half a year of it.
Well,
you
Jim
know.
and I got to experience quite a bit more of that.
Congratulations.
I mean, hell, we were alive for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So
I was not.
Yeah, so you have that, and like you can clearly delineate like 80s and 90s. Like there's definite differences between, and 70s and 60s going backwards. But once you hit like about mid 2000s, it's just a continuation of some of the shit from the 90s, and then just sludge. This like things in the 80s you could tell like this was meant to appeal to this crowd. This was meant to appeal to this crowd. And this there were cliques, there were genres. And cliques were sometimes bad. I'm not trying to say that everything was rosy. But
that's why the movies from the 80s were awesome, because you didn't have to be part of one clique or one group or whatever. You could branch out and experience all these other different things, and that's why these movies, while some tailored to some groups, some tailored maybe to the other groups, you had the people like me that would draw the line across all of them and be like, okay, I'm going to watch all of these and enjoy all of these. And
they also didn't try to make it to be accepted by as broad of an audience as possible. They just made a good movie.
Well, right, and that's Jim and I have talked several times about like some of the various things the movie industry is doing that just are stupid, and that's one of them. Because if you try to appeal to everyone, you're probably going to end up appealing to no one. Your movie has no vision. It has, and that's why the movies that are good are like these little indie movies that pop up. Because it's laser focused on its one thing. And again, I want to be crystal clear, just in case anyone out there is like, oh, they just want to return to like all the male and white characters in movies. No. I've said many times, and I do mean this. Diversity is a worthwhile goal. Target your audience. Like Tyler Perry has his own studio. He makes his own movies. And, while they do have a broad appeal, it's clear who they're supposed to be appealing to primarily.
Yep.
And, do that, what's his name? Is it Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
Jordan Peele's made several horror movies, that apparently are successful. I haven't actually watched any of them, and it's nothing against him, because I liked him on Key and Peele, and I do intend on watching some of them. But, it's clear that, like, he's going for a certain audience, instead of, let's try to get all the audience. But the problem is, Hollywood's in this position where they make movies that kind of have to make $1 billion to succeed, and the only way that's going to happen is if you have that super broad appeal.
Yep.
If it works. Or you do something like the Barbie movie, where it's like, what was the last movie actually targeted to women? Like that not movie that has women in it, that's probably putting down men all the time. Although I hear the Barbie movie kind of does that. I haven't watched it yet either. But I also hear it kind of flashes back and forth and whatever. But the point is, Barbie movie has its audience. And its audience showed up. And the superhero movies and the Star Wars movies were a largely male audience. And I get trying to diversify and the male-female split in the audience. That makes sense. Which is one of the reasons why I actually kind of hope The Marvels isn't a terrible movie, because then the ladies will have a movie that's probably aimed towards them. Although, you can make the argument that the various movies with the Chris's are also aimed at the ladies. Because, well, most guys aren't going there to see the guys. Oh, it's magnetic. It's on your refrigerator.
Ah.
I really thought ahead on the 97-cent purchase on that one.
That is a very good purchase.
So anyway, my point is, know your audience, play to that audience. Don't do it in a way that's going to superly offend another group, but understand that there's limitations. And that's also why you got to go back to making cheaper movies, which is why the Blade movie might end up being good if they take their cues from the ones with Wesley Snipes, stick with the lower budget so they can't buy a bunch of flashy bullshit and have to actually have a story.
Have rave music in it.
Yes.
Dude, that rave music was awesome. That song is 9.5 minutes long.
Sandstorm.
No, it's not Sandstorm. The song at the very beginning of the first Blade movie.
Oh.
9.5 minutes long.
Yeah, I got the soundtrack. It's 9.5 minutes long.
And I still know Meatloaf. I Would Do Anything for Love is 11 minutes.
Oh, I thought you meant Paradise by the Dashboard Light. One of our coworkers didn't believe that was one song.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, this is still the same song? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember
this is like
that.
2 songs later. Like, no, this is all one song. She's like, no, it's not. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That was great.
But yeah. So anyway, my overarching point there is, pick an audience and pursue it. Trying to appeal to everyone just doesn't work.
And then if you have a good movie, guess what? It branches out to everyone at that point.
Will show up. Yes.
Yes, it goes to show when a mediocre movie, but that doesn't try to take itself as anything other than just an attempt at a horror movie, does just fine. Five Nights at Freddy's, #1 movie in the box office right now.
Yeah,
and you can stream it on Peacock
for free.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you pay for the Peacock service.
Sure.
Nope. I have the free version.
There's a free version of Peacock?
Yeah.
Really?
Because I was even looking. I wanted to watch it, and it's like, oh, it's $5.99.
Pretty sure there's a free version.
Well, even if there's not, let's assume for a moment that it's $5.99. You gonna be able to go watch any movie at the theater for only $5.99?
No.
No. Plus, you can have more than one person in front of the TV.
Yep.
So yeah.
And popcorn's a lot cheaper at that point too.
Yes, but that's just astonishing to me that the same movie that's #1 at the box office, you can watch in your house for $5.99 if you really wanted to.
But the thing is that it doesn't try to be something else. It says it's a Five Nights at Freddy game. It's a Five Nights at Freddy movie. Mm-hmm. I think part of the success that's going to come from that is because one is, I mean, it does have some actors, there's some people well known, but a lot of the stuff what they did is they got YouTubers to be in it. They've got, and I guess he had to refrain from saying anything, but the biggest theorist on the Five Nights at Freddy franchise was in it.
Oh yeah,
Matt Pat from Game Theory.
I'm just going to throw this out there for anyone that happens to be listening.
I'll see if it says. I didn't see the movie, but I just know he was in it because it came out. But anyways, keep going.
So anyone in that field that happens to be listening, I know I, for one, would volunteer to be in a movie for filming in the area.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
You want me to die, I can die.
Yeah, I can play like Corpse #2. I'm cool with that.
You want a guy just walking by that's bald? I'm game.
I was going to say, yeah, the dead people, that's easy to act. You just...
That might be hard for me. I got a leg that likes to twitch.
Yeah, the hard part's actually standing still. There's a whole episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia about that. But
Matthew Lillard was in that.
Yep.
I did not know that.
But yeah, so while Jim looks that up, actually, we'll wait here real quick because we're going to transition to something else.
Sparky's Diner waiter.
Huh.
Oh, I know who's talking. Okay.
All right.
What, who Matt Pat is?
No, who the character is.
No.
So I think that about covers Disney's further woes.
For now.
For now. I'm sure they will keep stabbing themselves in the foot, but shooting themselves in the foot. Somehow putting a steel projectile somehow in their foot. Books, I got nothing. Still haven't finished the newest BattleTech book. Been kind of busy.
Well, so since my son doesn't ever watch my podcast either, though he did mention the other day, he's like, "Oh, you're recording without me," and I'm like, "You never tell me you want to be in any of these." So I picked him up 2 more Splinter Cell books. He really liked the one that I got him. So
Well, we still need to hear his review for the Hunt for Red October.
yes, Hunt for Red October. There is no
All right, Justin Timberlake's character in The Social Network.
what?
He's the one who tells Zuckerberg drop the from Facebook. Let's call it Facebook.
But I hear all the old people still call it the Facebook.
I know. They also don't know how the Facebook works, so
I don't know if I understand how Facebook works.
anyway.
I just know that I get my cat memes on there.
So on to gaming. Speaking of Facebook, though, before we continue, check us out on Facebook.
Yes.
Real Geek Cabal. There'll be a link in the description. So gaming. The only thing I've got is I read an article with a supposed insider who's been more hit than miss that Nintendo is considering doing a remake of Mario 3.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I got the impression that by remake they mean like whenever they remade Mario 1, maybe 2, or Mario All-Stars. I'm assuming it's like that and not like, hey, let's make I don't know what bits we're on at this point,
Well,
version of...
Well, hell, maybe they'll take the new Mario Brothers engine.
Maybe. Yeah.
And
So-
just recreate all the levels and everything.
Yeah.
I know.
I'd take that.
Add some, but add some flair to it, so it's got some new nuance to it. So it's got a little bit of the, new feel to it, and it got some new abilities. But for the most part, keep it the same.
Yeah. Well, we still need to do our video on the first 4 Mario games at some point.
I'm just looking.
Yeah. I was going to mention it before we started. But, yeah. As far as like Mario 1, 2, and 3 and Super Mario World.
Yeah, I've got to. I need to get back and do some. Well, like I say, my plan is at tax time that I'm going to buy and invest in the captured stuff for actually capturing games.
Well, I also read another article this week. And by that, I mean I saw the headline and figured I'd read it later. Nintendo just released new guidelines for like YouTube people being able to use their stuff. So we will definitely have to comb over those before we do that.
I mean, it's pretty stupid if they're like, "Oh yeah, a game from the '80s you can't stream on your."
Yeah.
Nice. However, I know a game we can stream that all we have to do is put a link to their website in the description and we're golden.
Oh, I was going to say Super Empire Strikes Back, where after you defeat Darth Vader, he says, "I'll be back."
No.
Isn't it just like a
Farming
cartoon
Simulator
dog?
22. Very open on the streaming content. You just got to have like links in the description to go buy it.
Well, maybe.
I don't know. I have no problem with Farming Simulator. I don't play it, but I think the only one version I have is 2017.
I got 22.
That's like one of my coworkers was telling me that he plays some game that simulates mowing people's yards.
Yes.
Oh, Lawnmower Simulator?
I was just like, why? Why would you do that?
They have a simulator for everything.
Oh, I know. There's PC building simulators.
There's Power Washing Simulator.
What?
Hey, there's no. There's
I've seen a demo for a snow shoveling simulator.
no. The power washing simulator actually has a story behind it.
It does, and it's pretty interesting.
It's not just you're not just out there pressure washing houses. It's like the idea is like, well, why are these houses all caked in soot? Well, it turns out there's an active volcano in the town.
And what's with all these weird alien symbols?
Well, there's
Oh,
there's
my
that. There's
God.
one house that's haunted. Well, no, sorry. The haunted house is
my God.
the haunted house is in the house cleaning simulator. We actually have to go and clean like houses.
Yeah, the Power Wash Simulator has the mystery of why are there gnomes everywhere? Like just garden gnome statues.
But yeah, there's a thing where you're cleaning the cleaning house simulator though. Like you're in the house and like you'll like open up a door and there'll just be like a guy standing there, or you'll see like a thing out of the corner of your eye and it'll disappear when you look at it.
We're going to be coming back to that topic momentarily, folks, by the way. One of the movies I watched.
All right.
So that's about it in gaming. Oh no, that's not it. There was something else. And if I think of it, I'm going to post the link in the description to where you can see these. But we've mentioned before that we play D&D, or did, and going to again, hopefully in the future. So WizKids, the company who makes HeroClix, also makes the miniatures for D&D and Pathfinder and some other crap. So the next Pathfinder set just got announced, and I think it's literally called Armies of the Undead. So it's similar to the Boneyard set. It's going to be a very undead heavy set. Pathfinder has a bunch of weird shit in it too. Uh, so far the figures all look fantastic.
So we get playing again, Jim. We know what we're facing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
So, but one of the exclusives, like the single figures that you buy, is a haunted carriage with like burning. I think there's skeletal horses in front of it or something. It literally just like grabs randos off the road to drag them to hell or something. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. But anyway, the figures all look great, and I'm all for more undead. I don't care how many I have. I can always use more.
Yes, and speaking of the HeroClix topic, at some point we want to do a HeroClix video of why we left.
I can do that.
Kind of like chart our journey, but also why the journey finally came to an end.
I'll do that. Sure.
And anyway, and I don't know when that's ever going to come out. I just want people to know that play HeroClix, that enjoy HeroClix. It's nothing bad about HeroClix.
No.
We enjoyed the years that we played it.
I enjoyed the years I played it. I enjoyed the people I played with.
Yes.
Yeah. Like it was nothing. It was nothing bad about the game, and there was nothing like, we didn't like the people. We didn't like the, there were changes that happened. There were a couple of things that came up, that why one would make it good for new players, but I definitely felt like it probably alienated others. And
and we'll go into that in the video because I think there's ultimately one big reason that like spawned all the other reasons.
Once
Chad's not too far off there.
Once you find one reason, well, that's a big one, but I don't think that was the main reason.
No. So we had a similar problem to what the movie studios have had.
That's the catalyst for everything else.
The unknown virus of indeterminate origin, as the drinker likes to call it. Sorry, I'm not going to steal his picture of Winnie the Pooh as Xi Jinping, though. But
we should.
Yeah, we probably should. What's he going to do? Come after us? Probably.
Can we just link to his videos to ease it over a little?
Yeah, I'm sure people are going to find him through us.
Yeah, I'd like to believe anyone watching this has probably heard of the drink already because we've mentioned him in other videos. But yeah,
and if you haven't, definitely go.
If not, the critical drinker. He definitely has a slant and a style, and he is not at all a fan of anything approaching what you'd ever call woke. And he'll be very upfront about that.
Yeah,
but he also takes, like I said, a tempered approach because the South Park episode I'm getting ready to talk about. It does go after both sides because both sides have things to go after. It's the bulk of it is going after Disney, but it points out that yes, there are flaws on the other side too, and the drinker spelled that out. Whereas people on both sides are trying to claim victory. I have no idea why any of one side is trying to claim victory off this, but who knows?
You know what the thing is that all it would take is somebody to go. A lot of people are saying this. It's not just one person. It's not just this person. It's a lot of people are saying it, and they're not all just yelling and hollering about it. They're taking time. They're putting out. Yes, the South Park probably has a lot of funny shit going along with it, but if you deep down look at it, I guarantee there's a lot of thought put behind what they're saying.
Yeah,
and if somebody just took a second and analyzed it, they'd be like, "Whoa, maybe." And I don't think they're trying to destroy anybody. I think they're trying to show how bad it's gotten.
Because this is a very, very crucial concept that hopefully people are still listening at this point.
Well, they've all left.
Probably. Trouble with Beefcake's probably still listening.
Hopefully. But he probably knows this already.
Yes.
Probably.
Like, the opposite of love is not hate. Okay? The opposite of love is apathy. If you don't like something, you ignore it. These people that make all these videos, it's because they like the shit that was and they want it to come back. It's not because, they're not to the point that they hate, like, Star Wars. If they did, they wouldn't make videos about it.
Well, you know, a lot of people,
Aside from getting clicks, which that still does.
I gotta say, a lot of people give Michael Eisner hate, but Michael Eisner was there during like the heyday of the rebirth of Disney, where Disney came from the ashes.
Yeah,
and,
the what's that, like the Lion King, Aladdin, Little Mermaid era?
yeah, because and it's unfortunate because like you know I think they were you know they released the Black Cauldron, and the Black Cauldron, well, a good movie was not
Very good movie.
was a box office
Never
bomb.
watched it.
It's worth a watch.
Never seen The Dark Crystal either. Oh, here we go.
That surprises me. The one
It does surprise me because you have this list of movies I need to watch.
Oh, there's a list of movies I need to watch. It's just
Is The Dark Crystal on it?
No.
Add it.
It's just I write that list myself. So yeah, no, that's one of those movies like, like I've seen the first few minutes of it, but
No, you need to see it all.
yeah, I get that.
Jim Henson at its finest.
No. Yeah, Jim Henson at its finest is either Labyrinth or Farscape, probably.
Ooh, I have been watching Farscape again recently. It is very good. It's the CGI stuff. You can tell it's dated. Everything else, beautiful.
Yes, similar to Babylon 5. It's a show someone should definitely watch. But anyway, we're veering off. So that's all we've got for gaming. So next is streaming. And this is like all I've been doing for the last week. So buckle up. First, well, a lot of these were on Peacock. Because my dad, being a sports fan, needed it for an IU game, which we've got to comment on that here in a moment, too. Yeah, so he decided to get Peacock, so I've been watching other stuff on there. So I watched Miss Davis, which is a show about a nun trying to bring down a supercomputer.
Wait. I read the description for this. It sounded too stupid to watch.
Oh, no, it's great. Like, that is the description, but it's great. And I almost hate to spoil one part of it, because it was just so out of left field and hilarious. But essentially, this woman blames that, okay, there's like a world-spanning algorithm that is like trying to make people happy. So, like, it can answer your questions. And as the show progresses, it becomes a whole lot of like, well, am I actually deciding to do this? Or is like Miss Davis fucking with me to make me think I'm really just making this choice? What about this other group of people that want to also bring down Miss Davis? Are they being honest with me? The answer is everyone's lying to her, by the way. Everyone's trying to manipulate her. But there's a whole lot of like, well, who really actually came up with the idea to do whatever it is they're doing at any given point? Okay? Because everyone's trying to manipulate everybody. And so this woman who's the nun, her dad was a stage magician, played by David Arquette, by the way. And her mom was the one who like came up with the tricks. She just didn't have the presence to do it. You know, he's got the good hands and the presence. So she was like working on some ultimate trick, and the door to the room she's working on is locked, and it says like "Do not enter." And so the dad like keeps wanting to, but he won't. But he finally convinces the daughter to go in there because she can pick the locks. And so she does. She opens up the door, and there's a loaded crossbow that fires and hits her right here. And so she has to go to the hospital, obviously, and has a liver transplant. And so then you find out through like a bunch of other stuff that happens that her liver came from a woman who drank from the Holy Grail, and then her head exploded. And it was this guy's daughter who was sitting right next to her at the time. They had spent 10 years trying to destroy the Grail. There's a whole reason why. And so he realized that, like, possibly the key to its destruction, because the one rule the group had was don't drink from it. Well, they realized it's exploded. He's like, but maybe there's more to it. Because he's like, this rat drank from it at one point and died. But then the cat ate the rat, and the cat's like 30 years old at this point. So, like, obviously it conferred something to the cat. So he's like, well, I couldn't let my daughter's death go to waste. So maybe by drinking from it, she'd already started a biological process. I just needed to put her organs into someone else, specifically the liver, because it deals with filtering toxins. So maybe she's the one that can do it. So the algorithm wants her to destroy the Grail, and in exchange, it'll delete itself. So she like tracks down the person that made it, and she's like, yeah, it'll probably do it. But then you find out the ultimate curveball, like what she designed the algorithm for originally. It's for Buffalo Wild Wings. The reason it wants to destroy the Grail is because that's like in their literature about like the Holy Grail of customer service and stuff. It has no concept that it's the actual Holy Grail, with Jesus Christ and everything. Because like the flip
Okay, I need to watch this.
Because the other part of this is she can actually like communicate with Jesus like directly. Like she like closes her eyes and thinks about him, and the next thing she knows, she's in a restaurant that he's running.
Who plays Jesus?
I don't know the guy's name, but anyway, it's really good. It's very entertaining. Everything comes back around. However, I'm going to say this because this applies to both Miss Davis and Twisted Metal. They clearly knew this was going on a streaming service, and like the language and graphic violence is just cut loose. Like people explode. The horse explodes at one point. Like
The horse explodes.
yeah, it was trapped with explosives. And the one guy's trying to convince her, like, look, there's no possible way these guys would have done this. Like, clearly it was all fake. And cause she has the detonator. And he's like, look, they're just fucking with you. And he hits the button, they go, and they find a crater with... and she's like, you killed my horse. And you find out it was, in fact, a fake. And so she gets to real horse back at the end. But yeah, like, it's great, though.
Another one of those, you can't hurt the animals, you can blow up people all day, but...
Well, yeah, I don't care who dies, so long as the dog survives.
Well, because dogs are innocent. Even if the dogs are mean and biting people and stuff, they're still innocent.
However, John Wick did not follow that,
Though-
but retribution was gotten.
Though, the fact that Alien 3 originally had a dog that
Yeah.
Because it never made sense in that movie that the chest burster was so small. Because when they put it coming out of the oxen, it should have been gigantic.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
I wish it would have been. It would have been just huge.
It should have been.
Not necessarily. The chest burster might not change in size.
It should.
I'm just saying, if we apply the logic that Kenner applied to the action figures, all the figures were roughly the same size, even the one that came out of the gorilla. It was still roughly the same height as the Scorpion.
I like the
which should have been, in comparison, tiny.
I like the one
Kenner has a little bit of a limitation.
I know, but think about what I just said. One of those came out of a gorilla, the other one came out of a scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah, just think about that for a minute. It doesn't work.
No, it
had to have been like the spores, like in
like when
Alien Covenant.
When Batman fought the alien and one came out of a crocodile and the thing was gigantic.
Yeah, the eventual alien should be bigger. I'm just saying I don't think the chest burster.
Oh no, not the chest burster should be normal size, but no,
Yeah.
so when it was full grown should have been gigantic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the scorpion alien, that thing would have been like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, which would still be bad,
Very bad.
Yeah. So anyway, Miss Davis, definite recommendation. Good acting all the way across. A lot of funny moments. Good action. A lot of twists. There's way more to the Buffalo Wild Wings twist than what I'm talking about. You'll figure it out. But
yeah. Was the algorithm really just to try and come up with new flavors for the wings?
No, but at the end, whenever she tells it, like, I do want you to delete yourself, the final question is, could you rate my customer service? And she gives it a 5, and it's like, are you just lying to me to make me feel nice? She's like, maybe. She's like, well, I appreciate that. And then, like, everything just goes to shit in the world instantly. Like, she had a very selfish reason for deleting this, and she should not have. But anyway. So then I watched Twisted Metal. That was fantastic, though. That is definitely a show that does not take itself seriously at all.
Just like the games.
Yes, it's the funny post-apocalypse. The basic premise, for those of you who've never played the games, plus I've only played like 2 of them, so I don't know how close this sticks to it.
Not that close.
Essentially, a computer virus shuts down the internet and all the power plants, and the world just like goes into a turbo apocalypse mode. And then the cities that are still left standing a little while later wall themselves off, and everything in between is just lawless wasteland. And as near as I can tell, this had to have happened like around the year 2000, because like everyone keeps saying it's about 20 years ago, and it's 2023, and none of the music is modern music. It's all because all they have are CDs,
Yeah.
Plus, all the modern music wouldn't have been made. And that's actually a plot point at various points is the CDs. So, yeah. Since I've only played a couple of the games, I didn't realize like 20 of the characters in this are from the games. Like, a hell of a lot of them are. I thought they were just people that made it for the show, but apparently they're not.
Well, the one guy, Anthony Mackie's character,
He's a guy from the...
He's the one that lost his memory.
Yeah.
They have Outlaw, the police officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then his daughter would be Outlaw too.
Hayden Church is the guy's name, I think.
Yeah, guy who played Sandman.
Yeah.
In Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, very good actor.
Lowell on the show Wings, for those of you who had the USA channel in the late 90s. Also where Tony Shalhoub, I believe, made his acting debut.
He was in George of the Jungle, wasn't he?
Could have been.
As Lyle, I think.
Maybe. But anyway, Calypso does get name dropped, although we don't see him. Sweet Tooth is in it. If you've seen the trailers, you know he's
Oh, yeah. Sweet Tooth's great.
Yes. The woman running San Francisco is a character from the game. The brother and sister cops were characters from the game. The woman that gets the sports car at the end is a character from the game.
The truckers are in the game.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a whole lot of zany post-apocalypse stuff. There's a lot of humor in it. Very graphic violence in it.
Yeah.
And the final episode, did you see all the way to the final episode?
I got through like 7 episodes because we were watching it at work.
Okay, so the final episode, it's a minor spoiler. Anthony Mackie's character and the, I think she's Hispanic, woman that's with him.
Yeah.
And one of the trucks go in, they're trying to take out the law guy, all right? And
wait, he didn't die earlier where...
No.
Of course not.
So he's built a wall of just like smashed cars through this area because he's trying to like bring law back to all this lawless land. Yeah. And so they go through the hole that's been made and they're like, well, this kind of looks like a trap. There's a bunch of cars just randomly over on the other side. Well, then they get in and sure enough, like he's like, I got you now. And then several of the cars all start up. And it's basically like a level from the game. Like they all just start shooting and firing missiles and shit at each other. Like about 10, 15 cars. And at the moment it happened, I was like, let's see what you're doing here. Like, this is excellent.
I only have one issue with the Twisted Metal series.
No.
They did not have Axel.
I was getting ready to say
that. Oh, yeah, that would have been great.
There's a guy strapped to a couple of wheels.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure missiles hurt that. No.
Well, Sweet Tooth, as they're rolling in, because he's got a couple guys with him at that point, he douses his head in lighter fluid, and he hands one of them a lighter. He's like, whenever I give the go signal, and he's just kind of like, and so he's like, all right, light it, and sets his head on fire, and he's like, let's do this. And it's just like, holy shit. And he pulls up beside Anthony Mackie. At one point, he's just like, holy shit. He's like, it's a good look you got going on there. But yeah, it goes and goes. It's not 100% clear if the cop's actually dead at the end.
Probably not.
And it turns out it was all just a setup to see if Anthony Mackie had what it takes for that lady in San Francisco. Because the end, she's like trying to get him to stay there. She's going to leave because he's like met all these people out. And he's like, no, I'm not going to stay. And she's like, all right, fuck it. Like I'm flexible, and just has her guards pull guns on him. She's like, you're not leaving. You're going to race for me in the tournament that Calypso's putting on. Because Calypso will grant a wish to whoever wins.
Hopefully he gets strapped between 2 giant wheels for season 2.
Well, so it ends leading up to the next season's going to be the tournament. So
yeah, and the wish that he makes in the game is that he wishes that this nightmare was over and he wakes up out of a coma.
Yeah. Well, he got most of what he wanted at the end. He gets most of his memories back because she takes him to his house in San Francisco because he's been living there in an apartment for a while. She was like, well, here's your home, John. And he's like, no, I said my home. She's like, no, this is where you were born and raised. Like, this is your home. And she figured it out. And she's got like a bunch of pictures that they found in the house. They're in the mailbox. He starts looking through them and his memories start coming back. And he figures out why he woke up behind the wheel of the car and everything. And
He was drunk.
his dad was teaching him how to drive. And then like shit hit the fan and he pulled his gun out to go after someone else. He's like, just go. And he took off and hit a tree and smashed his head.
Ooh.
Yeah. So yeah. And of course, the woman, she takes off in the car, but now she's like robbing all the milkmen to give stuff to the people that are just out there, the masses. And she comes across some people, and their leader's like, so, I hear you know my brother, his sister, somewhere. So, yeah. And the woman, the trucker, the blonde, she winds up, her and her friend take off in a little sports car thing, basically like, all right, let's go fuck them up, you know.
Is Spectre in there?
Wouldn't know. I don't know what Spectre looks like.
He drives a Corvette.
Not as far as I know. Did you make it to the point that they went to the truck stop
That was the last episode.
and like things went to shit?
We were about halfway through that.
Okay.
episode or
Yeah,
so.
well, things are going to go to shit. And a lot of those characters are also characters from the game. So, but anyway, if you want a bunch of action, humor, gratuitous violence, no gratuitous nudity,
Cool looking vehicles.
cool looking vehicles, a lot of characters you're going to see in part 2 later on, it's a good show. You're not going to see Calypso. You're going to hear his voice. That's about it.
This is Death Race, but
This is
sorta.
this is the Death Race 2000, but with better effects, and
Yes.
better weapons.
But you don't get points for killing people. You get points for killing your opponents.
No, but they still kill people.
yeah.
Like they kill the Raiders like there's no tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
But you don't have
You don't have the audience where you can win Death Race, the home edition.
where you can
It actually happens in Death Race 2000.
where the nursing home sets out all of the patients out
Yeah.
front. And
Yeah, for those of you who have no idea what we're talking about, this is not the Death Race movies that came out more recently with Jason Statham in the first one. This is the original. It's called the Death Race 2000. It has David Carradine, Sylvester Stallone,
yeah.
the bad guy from the Karate Kid movies, the guy that runs the dojo, not the younger kid, and probably a couple other people I don't know. It's a Roger Corman movie. It's very cheap. I bought my copy in the lobby of a hotel. It's probably a rip-off copy.
Probably.
Especially since the picture has like Stallone from like Rocky, I think, on the front with like an F1 racing sports car crappy picture down below it. And I'm like, none of this is from the movie. What the hell's going on? But anyway, so it's a cross-country race where you get points for running people over. Like the regular people that are just out there. And also like eliminating the competition, like really eliminating.
Yep.
So, minor side note, this is the movie my dad took my mom to go watch on their first date.
That's all right. My first date movie was Violent Night.
So yeah, there you go. But anyway, it spawned a sequel, Death Race 3000, which I think they're on motorcycles. Roger Corman did that one too. I think David Carradine's still in that one too. It's a different character.
but not with a grenade hand.
No, not with a grenade hand. Yes. Or a hand grenade, if you will. Yeah, he's talked about having a robot hand through most of the movie, and finally takes his glove off, and there's a grenade embedded in the palm of his hand. They use it to kill the president at the end of the movie. Yeah, because he came from I don't remember where in Asia he was, but he came to congratulate him. Yeah, then he runs over the newscaster, which was great too.
No, there's a scene where this hospital, I guess, every year will roll out the elderly patients so that is it Frankenstein?
Frankenstein is his character.
Yeah,
and
so
then, Stallone is, I think, Machine Gun Joe, if I remember.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so
totally gangster.
Yeah.
So this hospital or whatever supports Frankenstein, so they always roll out the elderly. So because the elderly and babies get the most points.
Yeah.
I think it's like 100 points each for old people because they're not out on the road as much.
Right.
So they lined up a bunch of old people. Well, I guess he had a kind heart this day, so he went around back and ran over all the nurses.
Well, there's more than one person that's been Frankenstein.
Yeah.
That's why he wears the mask. So it might not have been him in the past.
Yeah. But anyways. Yeah. Runs over all the nurses, leaves all the old people.
Yeah. So, and at some point, the Resistance shows up. Like this other plot just slams into the movie out of nowhere.
Yeah,
that's great.
Where they've got the bomb baby.
The point we're trying to make here, folks, is you need to watch this movie too.
And then watch, what is it, Death Race 2050? The most recent one Roger Corman did.
Yeah, because Roger Corman did that one. Yeah.
Because you had the originals, then you had the Jason Statham era ones.
This one kind of brings it back. This one is, I think, trying to shift those into the others.
Yeah.
Because Frankenstein wins that race. And then he's basically like, I think he runs over the president there. There's Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah.
And then he's like, take your destiny in your own hands. How many points can you score? And he convinces everyone just to go out and start committing vehicular homicide all over the country like crazy.
Yep. We watched that one together, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah.
That was great.
It's like kind of like the Hunger Games, just another way for population control.
Yeah.
And control the masses.
Yeah. So, the Hunger Games, side note, it's a post-apocalyptic United States, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's one thing I forgot to mention on the movie front, and that is that I did confirm that I guess Godzilla Minus Zero is going to be all in Japanese with English subtitles.
Yeah, all right.
And it's only going to be released in 1,000 theaters in the U.S.
That's not so all right.
No. So we'll have to find out where it's at because it looks awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, so then there was South Park, the Pandaverse episode that I've mentioned, which opens up with Eric Cartman having dreams of another reality where he and all of his friends have been replaced by non-white women. And he keeps telling his friends about this, and they think he's just trying to get out of school so he can play Baldur's Gate 3. And so yeah, this is very topical. And has his mom check underneath his bed to make sure Kathleen Kennedy's not underneath there trying to find him. And so he's like telling his friends all this, and they're walking away, and then he just gets sucked through a portal into the multiverse, and Butters is the only one that sees it. And they're like, Butters, just quit trying to lie for him. That didn't happen. Because they're like, the multiverse is stupid. We all know it's stupid. It works for like one movie, then it's just stupid. So it's also shitting all over the multiverse concept. Well, then the Cartman from that reality shows up, who's a black woman. And they're like, you're not Eric Cartman. What the hell are you talking about? She's like, of course I'm Eric Cartman. Like, and it just goes back and forth. And then finally, they're like, look, you're just some woman that Cartman paid to come here and say this so he can play Baldur's Gate 3. We know what's going on. So they eventually go to, I think it's Principal PC is his name. And he's like, well, of course that's Eric. They're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, this is like an adult-sized woman who's black. Like, have you seen Eric Cartman? He's like, what, do you guys just have a problem with one of your friends with having a black friend? Like, no. The problem is this isn't Eric Cartman. It has nothing to do with the fact it's a woman or black. It's not him. And he's like, yeah, but it could be. They're like, no, it can't be. Like, it wasn't yesterday. Like, he's like, I think you're just racist and sexist. And they're like, all right, whatever. We're leaving. And so they're supposed to be the people that have, like, legitimate complaints. And, you know, he's supposed to be the, oh, you're just a whateverist. So, and he's like, in fact, you have to help her. Otherwise, you really are racist. Like, oh, God damn it. All right. And so she's like, all right, we need a really powerful computer. And she leads them on, like, she's like saying we need this. And they they infer that she means to get her back to her reality.
It's for her to play Baldur's Gate.
It's for her to play Baldur's Gate 3. And she fires it all up. She's like, hey, wait a minute, where's my save game? And they're like, saved game? They're like, that shit doesn't even cross consoles. You thought it was going to cross dimensions? She's like, I'm not a quantum physicist. I don't know what the hell's going on. Yeah, it's pretty good. And then you see that Disney's problems all come from the fact that the real Kathleen Kennedy kept using this thing they keep down in the vault called the Pander Stone to just remake the same movie over and over again. But she abused it too much, and so she got sucked into a wormhole, and the version of her from another reality, who's really Cartman, but is her, shows up. And she has a unique solution to all of their problems. And she's literally like, put a chick in it and make her gay. Like, for every single thing. Like, they're talking about reshooting Bambi. And the director's even like, it's a deer. She's like, I don't care. You know, do this. And so the real Kathleen Kennedy is in the universe where Eric Cartman got sent, where everyone is a woman, apparently. And even, like, the chief of police is a woman, but just has a mustache. And so he has to run from her, and finally they sit down and hash it out. And she's like, well, I only did all this because I got 20,000 letters a day complaining about this. He's like, you mean 30,000? She's like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I wrote those. He's like, you wrote all of them? He's like, yeah. He's like, God damn it. It's like, so, and they essentially realize that essentially they're like a yin and yang kind of scenario where they both created each other, kind of. And so that's the put down for the toxic fans who just take shit way too far. And yeah. So they finally get everyone back to where they're supposed to be, because there's another like subplot to this whole thing where Stan's dad is supposed to be trying to fix the door to the stove, and he wakes up Stan and Shelly, his sister, brings him downstairs like, you kids don't know how to fix anything. You're lazy and you don't know how to do a damn thing. Watch me, I'll show you how to do this. And he goes, here's the problem. Now what you do is you pull out your phone and you call the handyman. And so they call the handyman, and he finally makes it over there. And he's like, I'm not going to be able to get back here. Like, this other guy's having me do stuff. And, like, it turns out no one knows how to do a damn thing anymore. So they're all calling the handyman. So they're all paying him more and more money. And it finally gets to the point that he's a billionaire, and this other handyman's a billionaire. And one of them bought, like, SpaceX or something. And so the finale for them is they're both in ships going to Mars with giant crews on them, bitching at each other across space at each other because the ships are real close, you know. Oh, you son of a bitch, I'm going to get to Mars before you, you know, that kind of stuff. And the people back on Earth are like, you know, I wish these billionaires would quit being in a pissing contest to get to space and actually fix real problems back here on Earth. And that's like, what you doing there? And of course, like he tries to use Alexa to help him at some point. I think it's Alexa. And ultimately, the solution is go to Home Depot and get some of the migrant workers that are in front of Home Depot. When he goes there, there's none to be found, and it's people with like law degrees and everything else. Like, we'll trade law advice for handyman work and stuff like that. And so Stan's dad ends up in the group too, and eventually this handyman pulls up like, "I need 6 guys to come work today." And you're like, "I can do legal advice, or I can like write something for you, or I can do code." And he's like, "I need 6 guys that can operate a power saw." And they'll just kind of look at each other. He's like, "There's not 6 of you that can operate a power saw." It's like, what the hell is this country coming to? He leaves, and eventually a Mexican guy in a handyman truck pulls up, and it's all like pimped out and everything. And he's like, "You guys should leave. You're making this place look bad." Yeah, it's this one. This one hits everybody. It's all over the place. And so the final solution is they need not a sacred place. It's someplace with integrity, with a broken door. And Stan's dad's like, because I guess since I haven't watched South Park in forever, he's got like a pot growing operation now, and it's called like Integrity or something. It's supposed to be like integrity, and it's the broken oven door. And all throughout his wife keeps asking, like, "Are you going to fix the door?" He's like, "I'm working on it, Sharon." Just yell. I think it's Sharon. Just yelling at her. It's like they're literally in the middle of everything. They got like a poltergeist kind of situation where it's like beams of energy are coming out of the door, and he's like, "Are you going to fix that door?" It's like, "God damn it, I'm in the middle of trying to fix it." He's really not, but so yeah. So he gets sucked into the multiverse. Sharon trying to find him, and initially just like changing his shirt, like each thing he's going past, and like other parts start changing, and so he gets everyone back where they're supposed to be, but also grabs like all the handymen from across the multiverse to bring them so they can fix everything. So yeah, it's all over the place, but it makes fun of several different groups, and it's quite hilarious. So yeah, definitely check it out. That's on Paramount Plus. There's going to be a part 2 and a part 3 eventually. So, and Disney is threatening legal action against them, which will go nowhere because that fun thing called the First Amendment that protects parody, which is obviously is.
Yep.
So yeah, got a lot going on there. Then, as I mentioned in the last podcast, I watched the 3 Hell House LLC movies. Turns out there's a 4th one, so I watched it. It was on Shudder. It was a Shudder original, and I think it just premiered like a couple days ago. So it was good. It kind of ties into the other movies, obviously. It's not at the Abaddon Hotel like the other 3, because the Abaddon Hotel burned down in part 3. This is like other stuff related to it, because back in the first movie, whenever they mentioned the suicides that happened, they mentioned that there was one member of the cult that didn't participate because he was in jail. Well, it turns out that like this is like where he lived, outside of town, with his rich family. And yeah, he definitely intended on joining the cult, but was taking some folks with him. So killed his family, and then walked into the portal to hell. And he's the spirit that's like possessing the creepy ass clown that's in some of these movies. And the movie wraps up with the characters talking about, hey, they're going to restart the local fair, which if you watch these movies like I recommended, that ties in everything too. And so yeah, like they're setting up part 5. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, part 4 was as good as the other 3 if you liked them. Very similar to the first one, as 2 and 3 go a little effects heavy. This is kind of back to bare bones, but I thought it was good. It was definitely creepy. It's a found footage kind of movie, Joe. Then
that's a turn off for me right away, though.
Well, it only works if you buy into it. If not, like, it doesn't work at all. Then watch the Super Mario Brothers movie, because it was also on Peacock.
Not bad.
I was quite entertained. I did like these several times where it's literally like a level from the game.
Yeah.
Like the opening one that's like where they're going through New York, and it's disguised as going through New York, but it establishes that Mario can actually do all this acrobatic baloney.
Yep. And Luigi sort of can.
Yeah.
Oh, they do Luigi wrong.
Yeah, he got captured.
Yeah.
He spends most of the movie in Bowser's dungeon.
Well,
and with ghosts.
Yeah, well, Luigi has to go save Mario from the ghost.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion.
Well, then there was the spectacular scene where Mario meets Peach, and Peach is like, wait a minute, you're another human? Where'd you come from? Brooklyn? Where'd you come from? She's like, I don't know.
The Mushroom Kingdom.
You know, she walked through a portal apparently when she was much younger.
Yeah.
You mean that she found a rock? She had a rock on her necklace that she stuck into a meteorite.
No. Although the portal was underground in Brooklyn, like I was really waiting for that. But no, it's just a warp pipe that sucked Luigi into it, and then Mario went in looking for him, and he got sucked into it.
And there was no Daisy either.
Yeah.
They played the Mario Brothers from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Do the Mario, do.
I don't. Was that in the commercial? Because remember they have the commercial at the very beginning they made for the plumbing service.
They might have had the music.
Yeah, because it's got them like flying with like a yellow cape on, you know.
Clearly fake flying.
Yeah. And then later on, like he gets the mushrooms and like the turns out Mario doesn't like mushrooms.
Yeah, he hates them.
So when he gets the power, he's like, of course it's a mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
Then the fire flowers, and then the thing they're all after ends up being the star, like makes you invincible. Like Koopa got that towards the beginning of the movie. He's like, oh, now I'm invincible, and it's like I didn't put two and two together. I thought it was like the stars from like Mario 64 or something. Yeah. So Mario and Luigi get at the end, and proceed to beat up his entire army.
Yep. I particularly enjoy the Mario Donkey Kong fight in it.
Yeah. With kind of the call out to the game where he's throwing the barrels and everything, and
Also, Mario going, got the mushroom.
Yeah, wrong mushroom.
Yeah. Drinks him.
Mini mushroom, blue one. Fight against Donkey Kong. But yeah, it was very entertaining. Wish I would have saw it in theaters, but definitely worth a watch. A lot of shout outs to the various video game things in it. It was nice that the Koopa Troopers were like somewhat personalized. Like there was one with the eye patch and things like that.
The general.
Yeah. So I did like the Bowser when he was going to marry the princess there at the end. The people in attendance. There was like the King Boo and apparently a King Bomb.
Yeah.
From Bomb Bomb Battlefield.
Yeah.
In Mario 64.
And you had a cameo by the original voice actor for Mario.
Was Birdo in it?
No, I didn't see Birdo. They're the Shy Guys in
Yeah.
Mario 2, but I didn't see Birdo. I was really expecting Birdo to be there in the crowd, or Mouser with the mouse from
Yes.
Mario 2. Yeah.
And Wart.
Yeah.
They're all from a dream.
But no, he played the older guy that looks like Mario in the diner.
Okay. Yeah, I did notice that one of the arcade games there in the diner was Punch Out.
Oh, there's also a Jumpman.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like I said, there's a bunch of little things here and there, and then there's the more overt things. And
Well, hopefully this convinces Nintendo to release more movies with their properties and do
Yes.
them right.
Give us a live-action Super Mario Brothers. They already did.
I was thinking like an anime, like Legend of Zelda, but sure.
They did that at one point.
Or make a horror-themed Super Metroid.
I would take that.
Yeah. Have Ridley Scott directed?
Or give us a tennis movie.
I mean, you could make the Metroids the creepiest things of all time. I mean, they're giant flying octopus.
Yeah.
Well, not really.
Octopi.
Octopi with, but instead of having tentacles, they have teeth.
Yeah.
And the space pirates are just giant space bugs. I think.
Speaking of which,
It's been a while since I've played them.
and I found something out in Super Metroid speedrunning, just oddly enough. I should have put this in the gaming segment. But there's a speedrunning tactic that in the towards the end when the Metroid grabs a hold of you and then realizes that you're the one that rescued him, you can actually skip that. You can scene skip that. You can actually dodge it enough and get off the screen.
That's interesting. But yeah. So the only other thing on streaming, and I put a question mark because I'm apparently the only one that's been watching the show, is Loki. So I'm not going to go into it.
I watched season 1.
Because I don't want to spoil what's been happening.
Yeah, well, it's been really busy at work. We're getting ready to roll a company-wide project out. It's 4 platforms. One of them's re-releasing the platform, and it's long
Jim,
days.
You've got all kinds of things going on. That wasn't meant as me being like, God damn it, you guys need to catch up. That was
Yes, it was. You didn't see it before. Before he was yelling at us,
Threatening physical violence.
Yes. I mean, he backhanded Chad earlier, so.
Well, anyway, from what I've seen, it's been entertaining. So hopefully Jim can get caught up. We'll review the whole series at this point because there's one episode left. Uh, yeah, I think it's been good so far. I really am curious how it's going to end because of what's happened in the last 2 episodes that I can't talk about. But
yeah,
it's something.
and I'm saying not streaming shows, but streaming you.
Oh, hang on, I apologize, Jim.
You
there is one
son.
comment I want to make though. Jonathan Majors, someone needed to definitely rein him in as timely. Because also as He Who Remains, both of these he's wildly overacting and it doesn't work. Like someone needed to be like, look, we get what you're going for, but just no, stop, just stop. Just pretend you're like a real person and not a cartoon character.
He's a comic book villain.
That's right. Comic book villains gotta have gravitas, like like Ozymandias.
Well, honestly, if they ever do Doom, Doom needs to speak about himself in the third
Well,
person.
It's funny you mention that because you remember I told you earlier in the cast here about all the woes of Disney and the Jonathan Majors and what are they going to do? Apparently, one of the versions of Plan B is we're just going to replace Kang with another villain to headline the next movies, and Doom is the name that's being thrown around.
Yeah, Doom would just bitch slap Kane.
I mean, probably.
And Doom is a serious threat to everyone.
Yes.
No. All you gotta do to defeat Dr. Doom is tell him Reed Richards can't sit for 12 years in that prison cell peacefully, and he will do that.
He might. Although he might replace himself with a Doom bot. You never know.
No, but then what they'll do is they'll be like, well, we're going to have Squirrel Girl defeat Dr. Doom.
Yeah, see, that's what I fear will happen. Is it like, but it happened in the comics? And I'm like, you should be hit in the fucking face with that comic book, too. Like, I'm sorry. Characters like that just drive me up the fucking wall.
There's only one thing serious to take away from the Squirrel Girl comics.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Squirrel Girl could
She is Marvel's best babysitter. That's it.
She could be a legitimate hero. I don't think there's anything wrong with Squirrel Girl as a character.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with her inherently as a character. And there's nothing wrong with like Deadpool's the other like fourth wall breaky kind of character. Like, whenever Deadpool's not written that way, he's an excellent character. Like, there's some serious shit goes down in his books. Like when he finds out his probably daughter was killed in a North Korean concentration camp. Like, there weren't any jokes about that. Like, that's some heavy shit goes down there.
Well, I did hear some theories on Deadpool, and that is that while his healing factor is obviously off the charts, that when he takes traumatic head injuries, he doesn't usually remember half of what happens because it doesn't heal the memories of.
Well, that's kind of
like
that's similar to Wolverine. Wolverine, like, because of his healing factor, like, he can't remember past a certain point because like the tissue's it's reverted back to its natural state.
Yeah.
So past a certain point, he doesn't remember anything.
Well,
unlike Apocalypse, who remembers the entirety of the last 5,000 years, apparently.
Shouldn't it be the other way where he has no short-term memory?
Well, no. The thing is, like, if
that's what Taskmaster is.
So
Taskmaster's short-term memory is gone, but because of that, like, that's what he gave up to be able to, like, anything he sees happen, he can do.
Including martial arts, really quickly, just from watching martial arts movies on Fast Forward.
He was going to fight someone with super speed, so he watched martial arts movies on Fast Forward so he could fight at super speed. That's thinking right there, folks.
But no, there was a comic strip that and it was on a YouTuber I was watching, and he strictly showed where the Thing beats the living hell out of Deadpool because he thinks Deadpool's there spying on Sue Storm while she's in the shower, but he's not. He's there as a guest, and Sue's like apologizing to him. He's like, I already forgot about it because he never remembered it happened because he had been beaten so badly.
Did he hit him hard enough? Like the one shot I've seen of the Juggernaut punching Wolverine, where the Juggernaut's the impression of his fist can be seen coming out of Wolverine's back, and it's like that should be impossible. Like his spine should stop it because the adamantium.
Yeah.
But like everything between there and his fist should be like liquid at this point. That's one of those hits you're just like, you want the healing factor. That had to really fucking hurt.
But it's a good thing or a good talking point because I mean pretty much it heals his brain can heal, but healed tissue doesn't mean it retains everything.
Yeah, like I said, that's part of why Wolverine had all the memory problems. So you
mean the bullet that got fired through?
No, that's in the movie. And And technically, that bullet should still be in there. Like I've argued before, that's why you take out Wolverine. If you can somehow get on top of him and just unload like an M16 into his eye socket, like those bullets aren't coming back out. They're just going to rattle around in there, and like he's going to be lucky if he has motor function by the time that's done. You know.
Yeah, but knowing my luck, I'd be there shooting into his head, and like a bullet would ricochet out
there. The other eye socket. Ah. But yeah, you know, or I suppose the real solution would be to pour molten metal into one of his eye sockets.
That didn't work.
It should.
It should.
He got encased by liquid adamantium.
No. That was on the outside. We're saying if you poured it through his eye socket, it would just fill his brain cavity, and his brain could never reform.
Well, didn't that cover all of him, not just the outside?
Yeah.
Well, technically that suffocated him, and that's how he died.
Which should also fully kill him, because that's how he killed Dakin.
Yes.
Was he drowned him? Like once oxygen's cut off to his brain long enough, his healing factor will stop, because his brain is shut down.
Here's a question: You're read up on the X-Men comics somewhere?
Yeah, more or less.
Really. It's a discussion every single time.
Wolverine.
Hold on. Before we continue, I do want to answer part of your question just now, Chad. I have a stack of comics approximately this tall that I haven't read yet for like the last year and a half because I know there's a really shitty crossover in the middle of it.
Okay.
And I just don't want to deal with it. But I'm going to have to at some point.
Well, there's two questions I need to ask you.
Okay.
One is about Wolverine. When he dies with Krakoa going on, and he is reborn, does he automatically have the adamantium skeleton, or does he have to go through the whole process again?
Forge has liquid adamantium to recoat his skeleton.
That's gotta be painful every time.
Yes, I think they do it before they turn his consciousness back on.
Smart move.
And likewise with X-23. Because I think there was some difference in hers that now it's more like his or something. But anyway, characters like them, they've got the liquid adamantium.
The original liquid adamantium or the perfected version?
I don't know. There's, as far as I know, there's only the two types of adamantium. There's primary and secondary. And secondary is what, like, whenever Ultron makes a huge army of drones, is what his is made out. Is what the drones are made out of. It's like 98% indestructible. You know, it's also Marvel's excuse for, hey, you know, all those times adamantium's been destroyed. That was all secondary adamantium.
Well,
primary adamantium is basically indestructible.
Bullseye's has an adamantium skeleton and it doesn't kill him.
Correct, because Wolverine's was the imperfect process. Lord Darkwind had not finished perfecting the process. Wolverine only survives by virtue of his healing factor.
Yes.
The one they used on Bullseye, you can use on a normal human. I don't know what the difference is. Presumably it's the parts that deal with bone marrow. Because that's what would kill you, is you wouldn't be able to replicate your blood cells. And the fact that you were like going to gain about 200 pounds.
So then, are they using that version of the process on Wolverine, or they're just going, well, this has worked up till now, slap it in him?
I assume they just used the other one, because Forge might not know about the perfected version, because Bullseye, I think, is the only recipient. Which Daredevil found that out the hard way the next time they fought. Whenever, I believe Bullseye punched him in the face and shattered all of his teeth, because, you know, adamantium skeleton. And Daredevil punched him and broke his hand. Because, you know, adamantium skeleton. So, you know, kind of like that cage fight in the first X-Men movie, where Wolverine's just dominating, so he just waits for the idiots to punch him.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, well, your hand's broke now. Like, you're down.
The other was about this whole Cyclops being captured thing.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like current. That's like now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering what's going on there, and you're my X-Men source of information.
Yeah. Like I said, I got to get caught up because apparently the Krakoan era is finally coming to an end. So
yes.
Yay.
I didn't have all the problems with it a lot of people did, but there's some flaws. I mean, on the one hand, the fact they literally can't permanently die, but that's also just kind of acknowledging comic book and specifically X-Men logic, because I think aside from Storm, almost all of them have died at some point. Like that's a point of like that she points out occasionally, like during the X of Swords crossover. One of the characters was like, you know, I know a lot about all the X-Men. Like, you're one of the only ones that hasn't ever actually died before. And it was of the original 4 Horsemen. It was the Horsemen for Death, you know, which are all Apocalypse's kids. Yeah. Apparently he's coming back in villain mode very shortly, if he hasn't already.
You Apocalypse?
Yes.
Well, why not?
because he's gotten really pissed off about what they're doing on Mars. So they terraformed Mars. The mutants claimed it, and they brought most of the mutants from Morocco there instead of having them on Earth because it literally like doubled or tripled the mutant population on Earth. So they sent them all there. And then a bunch of them were killed by Thanos' grandfather. And now Storm's like running the show, and she's like fighting Genesis, who's Apocalypse's wife. And Apocalypse like not planning on sitting this one out.
Should have just had them living on Earth and like triple the mutant population.
No, that doesn't work because they've already established if they are able to resurrect everyone, there'll be like 16 million mutants because a lot of them died on Genosha. Then they were briefly resurrected, and then Selene devoured their essences to fuel her powers. So that's what happens when you have a 12,000-year-old mutant vampire thing. She's also one of those mutants that's like, yeah, I'm just kind of playing nice. Like, we all know I'm an evil bitch. Like, once this all goes sideways, I'm going to be eating a lot of you people. So, yeah. Yes, she is older than Apocalypse. She would technically be probably the first mutant. But she didn't actually, if I recall correctly, because I haven't read the books, I've just seen people write up on it, she wasn't born a mutant. Like her X gene developed like a couple thousand years into her run. She already had like the sorcery powers.
Yeah.
It devours people's life forces to stay alive. So,
she was already a vampire, then became a mutant.
Yeah, a psychic vampire, not a mighty vampire. Because the vampires in Marvel come from Atlantis. You know that?
What?
Yep. Yeah, they originally came from Atlantis. And I believe it's
So where Dracula's from?
Yep. No, the one that was the leader passed the mantle on to Dracula, became the king of the vampires. So, they were a bunch of weird, freaky monster things. And it was like, all right, you can run the show now. So, but there's one of the spells in the Darkhold, which has now been destroyed, that can eliminate all the vampires. They really shouldn't have blown up that book.
So we got, I think, one more item.
We got a couple things under miscellaneous. That's it for the movie. That's it for streaming, I think. Right?
Yeah.
So Jim shared an interesting video with me the other day about nuclear waste.
Yes, and it's Kyle Hill. I said Hall it earlier. It's Kyle Hill, and it's called "I Kissed Nuclear Waste to Prove a Point."
Yes, we'll link to it in the description if I remember to. So,
if we don't, search for that. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I need to watch this video. Popped up on my YouTube stuff, and I just was like, "What?" I got a more important miniature painting videos to watch.
And it's not really misleading. I mean, he does technically kiss a container of nuclear waste, but
he spends the entire episode explaining why it's safe to do so.
Yes. And it's a very good watch because, I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of misconceptions about nuclear power and nuclear everything, and it clears the air on a lot of it. And I think especially when they talk about the amount of nuclear waste that comes from the process.
Yeah. And he didn't cover this, but that's only with the current reactors. The ones they're working on or have made, at least, conceptually, will actually be able to reduce that amount of waste because they'll be able to burn through the waste. So, assuming they can get it back out of those containers, I suppose. Which, the way he described them, good luck with that. But, it's a very interesting video. And it's obviously pro-nuclear power. But he also explains that, if you're looking at this from a green power perspective, this isn't the answer to all the problems, but it's an answer to some of the problems. So if that's your concern, you should be looking into that because the sun and windmills aren't going to do it. And if they're not, well, I hope you like coal power because that's what's going to happen in natural gas. Because the other two just can't handle the base load.
Nope.
So, plus it seems like there's a distinct possibility the windmills they're building off the East Coast are probably killing the whales. At least that's the way it seems.
Yep. So that one, like I said, very good watch, very interesting. I mean, not a whole lot to talk about because I mean, you need to watch the video, but it brings up a lot of good points. The other one that is a point that I'm going to be interested in watching is that Six Flags is in talks with a merger with Cedar Fair, which are pretty much the two largest individual amusement park chains, and they each own a handful of parks. And if that doesn't make them the largest, in the world. I mean, it's got to at least make them the largest in the United States of amusement park chains.
Would think so. And so the Cedar Company,
Yeah.
what all do they own?
Oh, now you're asking me that.
Well, okay, just give them the two highlights that we know.
Well, Cedar Point is one of the Cedar Point, and then there's one in Six Flags. One of the Six Flags ones. They've always been in competition to have the most roller coasters, the best roller coasters in each one of their parks, and it's always been a competition. I mean, they have like 12 or 11, 12, 13, I don't know, roller coasters at Cedar Point.
Yeah.
And I mean, ridiculous and speeds and all sorts of other different things. And I mean, with this merger, I mean, it's even possible they can rival even the Disney. And I mean, don't get me wrong, not one park individually will be better, bigger than Disney, but the amount of options that they're going to have.
Well, I mean, if we're talking just in the U.S., there's only 2 Disney parks.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, each Disney park is going to be bigger than any one probably of those. No,
probably, but it doesn't cost me $1,000.
Oh yeah,
to go to Kings Island.
Yes, we had that conversation last week where they talked about their idea for.
Yeah, things are down. Let's raise the price. Stupid bugs. Well, I mean, they are like that's ridiculous.
It kind of is.
Like, that's not going to work. You're going to lose customers unless you've calculated everything just right. That the core that you keep by raising it this much increases your profits enough to cover who you lost and then some.
They didn't do
which
that.
you probably won't. So no, I mean, and plus, I've seen articles now. It literally costs like $1,000 to go to Disney World or Disneyland.
Yeah,
like that's ridiculous. Like I know Holiday World is like Bush League in comparison. What's that like? $20, 25? If you get the coupon for McDonald's.
Yeah, I mean, I think even on a full price day, I think it's $50. Okay. But you're getting the 2 parks, you're getting all the rides, you're getting. I believe it's still the free unlimited soft drinks.
Yeah, those are the perks like that. For those of you who've never heard of Holiday World, and I can't blame you if you haven't, it's a park here in southern Indiana in
Santa
Claus, Indiana, which is also where some of the mail addressed to Santa Claus that kids send in the mail, like that's where it winds up. So people do actually respond to it. That's where it comes from. But yeah, they've got the park there, and then Kings Island's over in Ohio, and Cedar Point's in Ohio too, right? I think.
Yes.
So, Kings Island's huge, but I know there's no way it's $1,000 going there. I want to say it's probably around $50.
Here's something.
Probably higher now. It's been years since I've been there.
Here's you something Holiday World does that Disney World probably doesn't. Holiday World started selling alcohol this last year.
I did not know that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, Disney does sell alcohol at some of their adult establishments, but it's very, very limited.
I've seen some videos of people that spent a little too much time there and decided they were going to get off rides before they were supposed to. But that's a very entertaining video, by the way. Yeah, like Kings Island, if you like Skyline chili, there's 5, 6, assuming they're still there. It's been, like I said, it's been decades since I've been there. Places that sell Skyline chili in the park. For those of you who've ever had Skyline chili, they just sell the little chili dogs. There's one place there that sells foot-long chili dogs with Skyline chili on it. It's in Rivertown. Go check it out.
We need to go there.
We can just go to Indianapolis to get Skyline chili.
Yeah, but they're not footlongs.
We'll find some place in Greenwood that sells foot-long hot dogs. We'll go get the hot dogs. We'll go get the chili from Skyline chili and just put them on hot dogs.
We're going to get the cheese at Skyline chili.
All right, we're going to
we're going to get the cheese at Skyline chili.
We'll have to do a food review at some point. Now,
that's an idea.
So, Chad, do you have anything to add to the miscellaneous? Any topics that had popped into your head? Anything you've seen?
Well, it's kind of gaming as well. Games Workshop recently redid their website, and it's not even gamesworkshop.com anymore. It just takes you into warhammer.com. That's what it is now.
Which has led to speculation of...
I honestly think there's a good chance they're going to just change the company name from Games Workshop to Warhammer.
Do they make anything other than Warhammer and Warhammer 40K?
Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
They make a Lord of the Rings miniatures game.
All right, fair enough.
That's it.
Yeah.
Although the new website does fold in Forge World in with it.
Yeah.
So you're no longer looking at 2 different websites, one with regular models and then one with the really expensive resin models.
Yeah.
So it's all just one website.
All right. So
It's going to take time to get used to browsing through the new site.
of course, even though it's all supposed to be better and more intuitive, it's not going to be. But
It's a lateral move.
so the only thing I've got, very briefly, is I mentioned. I'm sure you've all heard of ChatGPT at this point. ChatGPT has one particular flaw in it, in that if you ask it enough questions, it's going to eventually forget what you were talking about.
Oh, yes.
Well, people are working on a solution to that problem. That
Expand the memory?
Well, talking about like indexing the memory, and I watched a very lengthy video about it. Didn't understand about half of it, but they are working on it. Is what the guy's goal, what the guy's point was. And there's another. I think he called it Mem GPT because it actually has the memory assets to really remember it and how it like indexes things. Now it'll slow it down because it has to sift through the memory, but slow it down. He didn't elaborate on that. Slow it down could be, oh, this is only going to take 5 nanoseconds.
You'll never notice.
You know, that's the impression I'm under. I don't think it's going to be like. I don't think we're going back to the '90s of loading.
I missed the loading wheel.
The little status bar, like the ones that'll tell you like somewhere past the heat death of the universe is how long this is going to take. And
the old Windows update time.
Yeah. So anyway, that's about all I got on that. I find it all fascinating because I've been playing around with it. And so.
Yep. All right.
And that is also, for those of you who have not played around with it, it is very clear to me anyway that that's where everything is going. Like, it's fiddle around with it a little bit, you'll get it. Like, the world is going to change, and it's coming. Like, it's not going to happen in 2050, 2100. Like, it's happening like the next 5 years, folks. Buckle up.
So Skynet's going to...
No. ChatGPT is still approximately as smart as this table, but, like, it's really good at what it does. What it does isn't think. So you don't have to worry about that anytime soon, I don't think. But, we'll see.
Are you ChatGPT because you don't think?
No. Okay. I'm not ChatGPT.
All right. Well,
and ChatGPT is not me.
Well, this was a wonderful experience having you on here, Chad. I'd like to have you on here more often.
I am very glad to be back.
It feels good. We'll definitely have to start, getting topics and shows and stuff watched. I'm hoping that, again, I'm not upset with work, but it's just, you have those days or those weeks sometimes where work just kicks your butt, and it's a kicking butt in a good way because it's going to be a big change that we're doing. But, I would like to get back on a regular schedule and all that stuff and put out more episodes. So, anyway, if you do like what you've heard here on the channel, definitely make sure that you let us know down in the comments below. As always, we appreciate the likes, the comments, especially the shares and subscribes because we're close. We're close to that 300, and we'll have to set another goal. We'll have to also come with a 300 subscriber episode.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll get everyone together for that one.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, anyways, I guess this is us signing off for the meeting of the Geek Cabal here. So,
yes. The meeting is officially adjourned.
So, yeah, we'll have to see if we get some whispering echoes.
Echoes of a whisper.
Echoes of a whisper out of this.
Yes.
So, we'll see. All right. Anyways, we'll see you on the next one.
Have a good night, folks.
See you later.